several plagues that could wipe out our entire species while trying to cure the common cold. It's been a very educational few centuries. Dr. Kim looked up from her readings. Captain, according to these scans, their terrifying war fleets appears to be powered by controlled fusion reactions. That's adorable. We've been using fusion for domestic energy production for over 200 years. Really? Engineer OK4 peered at his own instruments. And look at this, their hull armor is some kind of crystalline matrix. Probably very effective against energy weapons, but it would shatter like glass if you just rammed it with something solid. Vex Thul was beginning to feel something he'd never experienced before: doubt. You would actually ram a spacecraft into our vessels? Well, not on purpose, Captain Chen shrugged. But humans aren't exactly known for their caution. Remember the guy who strapped himself to a rocket just to see if he could break the sound barrier? Or the team that decided to land on a comet? Don't forget the Australians, added Rodriguez. They literally live on a continent where everything is poisonous and considers them food, and they turned it into a tourist destination. The kneeling delegates behind Vex Thul were beginning to exchange glances. For 3,000 years, they had trembled before the might of the Dominion, but these humans were discussing their overlord's threats like they were reading a children's bedtime story. Perhaps, suggested Dr. Kim helpfully, you should try a different approach to galactic conquest. Have you considered diplomacy, trade agreements, cultural exchange programs? We've found they work much better than all the intimidation and threatening. Cultural exchange? Vex Thul's voice had lost some of its harmonic resonance. Sure, we'd love to learn about your civilizations. In return, we could share some of our entertainment. We have this thing called action movies, where the good guys always win against impossible odds. You might enjoy them, very therapeutic for working through power fantasies. Lieutenant Rodriguez grinned. Or we could introduce you to our sports. Nothing builds character like rugby or ice hockey. Though you might want to pad up first humans invented games where the objective is basically controlled violence. Vex Thul looked around his grand chamber at the kneeling delegates, the displays of military might, the elaborate throne designed to intimidate lesser beings, and for the first time in millennia, he saw it through different eyes. It all seemed rather juvenile. You know what? Captain Chen said kindly. Why don't we start over? I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Human Space Command. We're explorers, and we'd be honored to meet your people as equals. No kneeling required. Behind Vex Thul, 47 conquered species slowly, tentatively, began to sit up straight. And for the first time in 3,000 years, the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Dominion wondered if perhaps there might be a better way to make friends. Ambassador Thelixon adjusted her crystalline form with practiced elegance as she reviewed the briefing materials for the upcoming diplomatic summit. At 4,847 years old, she was considered relatively young among the Eternal Council, the governing body of species whose lifespans stretched across millennia. Around the conference chamber, representatives from 12 different long-lived civilizations prepared for what they expected to be a routine encounter with yet another short-lived species. Humans, scoffed Councillor Vorthark, his ancient stone-like features barely moving as he spoke. At 12,000 years old, he had seen countless brief-lived species rise and fall, averaging 70 to 80 rotations around their star. Barely enough time to learn their own names, let alone develop meaningful civilization. High Sage Meltara, whose energy-based form had existed for over 15,000 years, rippled with amusement. I've spent longer than their entire lifespan deciding what to have for breakfast. What could such fleeting creatures possibly offer to beings of our permanence? The other delegates murmured their agreement. The Zephyrians lived for 3,000 years, the Corinthians for 5,000, and the elder Voxani had individuals approaching 20,000 years of age. To them, humans seemed like mayflies alive one moment, gone the next, barely registering on the cosmic scale. When the human delegation arrived, the aliens were prepared to be politely condescending. The humans had requested this meeting to discuss mutual cooperation and knowledge exchange, which the Council had agreed to more out of curiosity than any expectation of benefit. The human delegation was led by Dr. Elena Vasquez, a woman who appeared to be in her 40s, by human standards, practically middle-aged for such a brief-lived species. She was accompanied by a diverse team of what the briefing materials identified as experts in various fields. "Honored Eternal Council," Dr. Vasquez began, "we're grateful for this opportunity to meet with civilizations of such impressive longevity." Councillor Vorthak leaned forward, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber. "Indeed, young human. Though I confess, we are curious how a species with such limited time can possibly contribute to galactic discourse. I myself have spent longer contemplating the nature of existence than your entire species has been sentient." Dr. Vasquez smiled, and something in that expression made Ambassador Thelixin pause. There was no intimidation there, no sense of inadequacy. Instead, there was something almost pitying. "That's fascinating," Dr. Vasquez replied. "And what conclusions did you reach during those millennia of contemplation?" Vorthak blinked slowly, the way his species did when processing unexpected information. "I am still considering the matter." "I see," Dr. Vasquez nodded politely. "May I introduce my colleague, Dr. Chen Wei? He's 34 years old, practically an infant by your standards, and last year he solved the unified field theory that your people have been working on for—" "How long was it, Ambassador Thelixin?" Thelixin's crystalline form flickered with uncertainty. "Approximately 3,000 years. High Sage Meltara pulsed with indignation. "Impossible. The unified field theory requires vast contemplation, millennia of careful thought." "Actually," interrupted Dr. Chen with embarrassing modesty, "it just required looking at the problem from a different angle. Sometimes fresh perspectives help. Of course, I was building on the work of Dr. Einstein, Dr. Hawking, and Dr. Martinez, all humans who made revolutionary discoveries before they were even 50 years old." The silence in the chamber was profound. Dr. Vasquez gestured to another human. "This is Maria Santos. She's 28. Last month, she composed a symphonic piece that apparently moved several Zephyrian art critics to tears. I understand your people have been refining your musical traditions for over 2 millennia." The Zephyrian delegate's translucent wings fluttered nervously. "Yes, but artistic mastery requires centuries of study. And this," Dr. Vasquez continued, indicating a young man who barely looked like an adult, "is Kevin Park. He's 19 and just developed a new form of faster-than-light communication that operates 47% more efficiently than your current systems." Kevin waved shyly. "To be fair, I had a lot of help from my professor, Dr. Johnson. She's 62 and has revolutionized 3 different fields of physics. Though she says her best work was when she was in her 30s. Ambassador Thelixin found herself recalculating everything she thought she knew. "But how is this possible? Wisdom comes with age, with experience.